CHGO White Sox post-game show, coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Eckerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We will be joined later from Guaranteed Rate Field live from Guaranteed Rate Field by CHGO White Sox beat writer Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber and check out his work at allchgo.com. We're being produced today by Sarah.
Hi, guys.
Howdy. And we are also honoring the journey to freedom for Juneteenth. So yesterday was Pride Night at the ballpark, and then today we had Juneteenth night. We also saw the shirts designed by former White Sox
Micah Johnson,
who was in the booth yesterday. That's been a very cool journey to see him. You always remember some guys, but you never know what the guys do, post-career. You might remember, playing Immaculate Grid. Oh, Dodgers, White Sox, Micah Johnson. But it's like, what has Micah Johnson done after,
He's turning himself into a nice, great artist, and that shirt I want to have right now. Also, Matt Caesar, former Cub, is now an artist. It's weird. Just like if you're
Love his salad.
If you're just like a, all right, major leaguer, which is not to put him down, you should be going into the artist realm afterwards. So, yeah, it's good to see that he's landed on his feet and found something to, replace the whole athlete thing that you go through, and it's hard to transition, like I think he talked about in his little vignette that the White Sox put out today. So it's good to see him with both his artist career and that shirt that he created. So, yeah, it's a great day. Juneteenth also. Freedom Day.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And you got Randy Johnson, who took a second career to kill birds and then photograph those birds.
And Ken Griffey Jr. Same thing. It's just like all the
Seattle
Seattle Mariners, like Jay Buhner somewhere in a tree shooting film.
Mark Burley's in a tree shooting animals.
Deer. And Mike Flowers.
Yeah. There you go. So you're in a tree somewhere, basically. But yeah, hit that thumbs up button. White Sox lose 4-1. They honored somebody. I mean, what do you gain from watching White Sox baseball at this point in your life?
I don't know. Like
today, the friends along the way.
That's the Cody line. But I think that you gain Garrett Crochet. And I know we're going to get more deep into him, but he didn't have premium stuff, but he also did have premium stuff. But it just looked like the Houston Astros had him kind of figured and had a game plan, and they attacked it and did it right. And the White Sox couldn't figure out Hunter Brown, who was coming off of, 13 straight scoreless innings until that home run by Andrew Benintendi. So he was already hot. So the White Sox ran into a buzzsaw today with both the Houston offense, which I didn't know were the best hitting team via average in the major leagues, and then Hunter Brown, who's had a tough year, but lately he's found it.
Yeah, well, and hey, you always find it when you're facing the Chicago White Sox.
That's a good point.
So the White Sox fall to 20-55 on the year. They are 6 games back of the Marlins and Rockies for the worst record in all of baseball. A whole 6 games. They'd have to win 2 series just to tie the Rockies and Marlins. And basically they'd have to win the series against the Rockies and Marlins to then, even get into their league. So
and
a league of their own. A story about the Chicago White Sox in 2024.
I don't know if you watched the game or the highlights from last night's Dodgers-Rockies game. The Rockies actually should have won last night because it was a check swing on Teoscar Hernandez that was called a check swing, but he swung at the bat. It would have ended the at bat and the game the next pitch. But of course, a 3-run homer for Teoscar Hernandez. Game is pretty much over after that. The Dodgers win that game. So if the umpire at first base would have called that correctly, the White Sox would be currently 6.5 games behind those terrifying Colorado Rockies.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll get to see him soon. Coming up, right? I think that they're the team after we see the Dodgers. We'll plug the takeover soon. And the Braves. I think they're the first team after that hellscape. I think they're the team that was not
correct.
included in the 39 games.
You are very correct.
And then
Here
the
at
Marlins
Guaranteed Rate Field in 9 days.
Marlins are in July, I think.
The Miami Marlins are
the 4th of July.
You are correct. The weekend after they play Colorado.
Man.
With a delicious sandwich of Cleveland in the middle of that.
If I could only remember to make doctor appointments. Hit the thumbs up button as well. And it's good to see Fred, Jay Corona, and B Chicago hanging out with us. B Chicago saying, hey, guys, we pitched well. We couldn't hit Brown. Most of the show will be breaking down Garrett Crochet. We will talk a little bit about Andrew Benintendi and his pop. That one run thanks to Andrew Benintendi, but just pretty brutal there. All right. Let's get into some Garrett Crochet stuff. If we have the pitcher stats of the night, and we do, thank you, Sarah. 6 innings pitched for Garrett Crochet, 3 earned runs, 9 hits, 8 strikeouts, and 1 walk. 100 rounds, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 7 hits allowed, 6 Ks, no walks. Crochet was pretty unlucky in ways. There was some balls that were hit hard, but did sneak through. There was a double that was hit hard, but it was a launch angle of -1, so it was in the dirt, but it snuck by, and then it was ended up turning into a double because of just speed. But Crochet, a little unlucky tonight in a way. A lot of hits, but as you saw, I mean, I'd rather take 8 hits, 9 hits. What do you give up? 9 hits? 9 hits and 0 walks. He was attacking guys, and he was really attacking mainly fastball cutter, so pretty much just 2 variants of the same fastball over and over again, and he got into some hairy situations, allowed some runs, but he was aggressive.
He gave up 1 walk, and that was a controversial walk because he was 3-1 on a batter. I forgot it was McCormick or the other guy. He threw a pitch on 3-0. It was a strike, and then he threw a pitch similar to that pitch in the same area. The umpire's like, no, that's a ball, even though it was within the strike zone. So the 1 walk he did give up was questionable, but as you were talking about, I think I counted that 7 of those 9 hits that he gave up were either the first or second pitch of those at-bats. So Houston had a game plan, understanding that Garrett Crochet will absolutely bury you, which he did. I think of his 8 strikeouts, 6 of them came off of that cutter inside to right-handers. Weirdly enough, the left-handers and that replacement Cesar Salazar got 2 hits off of him, and then later in the game, they're like, you know what, you're 2 for 2 today. F all that. Bunt for us. I mean, it produced a run eventually, but I don't understand that. But Garrett Crochet was dominant with that cutter. They knew it was coming. Only, I think, one of the guys who was batting and on a two-strike count laid off that cutter because it's hard to see. You're like, it looks fastball all the time. I mean, fastball is, but it keeps on cutting into your hands, and you don't know if it's a strike or not. And that's what every Astro was doing, except for one of the Astros who didn't take the bait, but dominant with that cutter. I know earlier you said that he was getting crushed by throwing that slider and trying to do a back foot slider to other batters, and they would just be like, okay, you got part of the plate, and I'm still going to crush this ball. The cutter has been a game changer for him, and he was dominant with the Houston Astros today. As you said, there were a couple duck snorts in there, a couple of hard hit balls, but overall, I thought his performance, these are the games that you look at a pitcher and you say, hey, you didn't have your number 1 A1 stuff, but you got through this game with only giving up 3 runs and 6 innings. You gave your team more than a chance to win. And that's the games that you come away impressed by, like the Fetty game where he was in Seattle and he only gave up 2 hits or 2 runs, but a bunch of hits. He didn't have his great stuff. He still got through that game and persevered and got the job done. And with 8 strikeouts, I mean, he was still getting people out. He wasn't getting hit that hard. Those duck snorts just kept on happening for Houston. They would just go right over the first baseman, right over the left fielder. Things that happen sometimes. And as John and Steve were saying, that wasn't really happening. The ball luck wasn't happening for the White Sox with that Andrew Vaughn hit at the end of the game where it just fall by 5 feet.
Right. And Fred's saying Crochet has been impressive this year, close to 90 innings already. I wonder what his limit will be. I'm assuming we'll figure that out July 31st and if he's traded or not. I think that's just all that's dependent on. I don't think that they're really going to start shutting him down as he's like being actively shopped. We do have a.
Did you see anything today?
Well, one second. We got a Ken Rosenthal quote that we're going to get to in a second. But you mentioned the cutter.
Yeah.
He used his four-seam fastball 48% of the time, cutter 46% of the time. Only threw 4 sliders, 1 changeup. I feel like he needs to have some breaking ball or off-speed variant, and like that's my biggest concern with him is because the Astros, yes, they haven't been the Astros, and they didn't have all of their killers in the lineup like Alvarez or Tucker, but I do think that there has to be some willingness to go to his slider because it is truly 2 fastballs, and they're very good fastballs. But I don't love that there isn't a third offering. And we saw yesterday with Cannon, one pitch was thrown like 30% of the time, one pitch was thrown like 25% of the time, then 2 were around like 19 and 15, right? He's got things that he can really just give different looks to other hitters. And when you're going to be a starter in Major League Baseball, you have to give guys different looks when they're coming up. And I think those duck snorts are more possible when you are being so heavily in the zone and you are throwing 2 pitches that don't have that severe of a drop off. I think he sits 96.8 on his 4-seam and sits around like 91 on his cutter. I don't think that there's enough of a differential in those 2 fastballs to truly be consistently dominant, striking out 13 a game. I think he could be very good and was still very good tonight. Needed some run support to at least make it interesting. It's a quality start, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, nothing, horrible, but for him to take that next step and to be dominant night in, night out, and not have a worry against any hitter, I would like to see some adjustment on that slider. Sarah, the one that's a bunch of dots, exactly, you got it. You could see that, and I showed this with Cannon yesterday, and this shows from Corey Lee's perspective, the pitch movement, and you can see that the 4-seamer is very much in its 4-seam section. You can see that 1 changeup. There's not a ton of separation between the 4-seam and changeup, which is why he really doesn't throw it that much. It's a pitch that he grips exactly, or not exactly like, but he has the same idea of throwing it like his 4-seam fastball. There's just not enough grip and not enough drop on that to give it that separation. But you can see there's a ton of separation on that 4-seamer and that cutter. There's only 5 mile per hour difference, so it's just tough to square up Garrett Crochet. Wasn't squared up tonight, but was, facing paper cut after paper cut after paper cut. And thankfully, all those strikeouts came with runners on. Like he really, bit down on his mouth guard there and just, went after hitters. But Sarah, if you do want to flash one thing, go back to that first graph if you can. There's 1 cutter and 1 slider that overlap. Yeah. Which is just the most disgusting cutter that you've ever seen, or the worst slider that he could throw. Like a slider with no break, or it's a cutter with a ton of break at 90. So he's incredibly interesting, and there is so much about him that I think can be unlocked, and we're still seeing consistently good to great performances from him. It's just about unlocking that elite level for Crochet, and I think that will come in a 3rd pitch, but these 2 pitches are pretty good.
You think that he just doesn't have confidence in I know you just talked about the changeup, doesn't have confidence in throwing those pitches, especially the slider, because of things that have happened to him previously, especially this year when those sliders have gone really far. If you don't have confidence in those pitches, maybe you don't throw it with conviction, and that's how you leave those sliders up, and that's how those hitters get geared up and hit those balls, because you're already throwing a 97 mile per hour fastball. And if your batter is geared up for 97 and you throw 90 mile per hour slider, you just sped his bat up. And if it's hanging in the zone, of course it's going to get crushed. So he has to find a way to shape that slider a little bit better, where it's at the bottom of the zone and then drops out of the zone completely by the time it hits that right-hander's legs. So I think, maybe that takes time, just, working with Ethan Katz, Brian Bannister, et cetera, on let's get this established so you can have something where they're just off of your pitch. They're not just sitting fastball on you. And as you said, there is no, those batters are not, saying this is a piece of cake because he's throwing 2 fastballs and 2 shapes. They're like, this is hard as hell. Like, we got a bunch of hits off of him, but it was a hard plan to get and execute. And I think also Corey Lee's lack of experience kind of cost the White Sox there because it came in the third inning where all those hits came up, and then one of the last innings where Garrett Crochet got hit, where I would think some adjustments would have had been made, because you see, like, they're attacking the first pitch. And if they're attacking the first pitch, you got to throw something else in that first pitch. So they're way out in front of it because they're trying to hit that fastball. I think majority of those pitches they attacked in the first pitch were forcing fastballs. So I think, adjustments could be made by both Garrett Crochet and by Corey Lee behind the plate, or whoever's calling the game, if it's Ethan Katz, etc. Adjustments need to be made because you see something happening in the game. Okay, they're doing this. That's what their game plan versus Garrett Crochet.
You don't feel like they made those adjustments? I feel like he started using his cutter more. I thought that was the adjustment, was that those hits started to leak in and that we started to see more cutters inside and we started to see more swing and miss. I thought that there was enough of adjustment, at least being a two-pitch pitcher. He's limited. So, I mean, he was still being somewhat balanced, but I thought that there was more of a significant focus, at least in like the third to – especially once runners got on in the third, to use that cutter more. I thought that they used that cutter more because
early in the count,
more successful. I mean, I don't know what if. Yeah, okay. Just early in the count is what you were looking for. Gotcha. All right. Well, let's take a break because Sarah's holding up the brake sign. We want to let you know about our friends over at Cuts. They are a new sponsor, and we're very excited to have them be a part of the team. Get ready to be the most stylish of your crew this summer with Cuts. Most guys would wear a T-shirt every day of their lives if they could. The problem is that most T-shirts are not acceptable to wear to work or on a date night out. But tonight's sponsor, Cuts, has finally changed that. Cuts T-shirt are such high quality, wrinkle-free, and buttery soft that you can look like you're dressing up even when you're dressing down. And you heard that right, wrinkle-free. So you can just throw it in your luggage and just, pull it out. It'll be fine.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, who wants to fold a T-shirt?
Throw your iron
in
the garbage.
Take 5 seconds. Yeah, break
immediately.
It. Right. I mean, and what, are you going to use a hotel iron?
No.
It's going to leak. It's going to ruin your shirt.
It's been used by many people. Got germs on it.
Just take out the shirt, put it on a hanger, and it's wrinkle-free, baby.
Just throw it out the window.
You never have to substitute comfort for fashion ever again. Dive into summer with Cuts, and for a limited time, you could save money on Michael Chandler's favorite company by heading to cutsclothing.com and use code CHGO for 20% off. Sucks that Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor won't be fighting at UFC 303, but it's good news that his favorite clothing company is Cuts. There you go. And we are very excited that they are a partner because their clothing is breathable. It sets the standard for softness and it offers premium performance. So when Herb is biking in to work with his Cuts T-shirt and pants on, it's going to wick all that sweat away, and he's going to be smelling good because of Mando, and be looking good because of Cuts. So embrace the summer state of mind with Cuts. For a limited time, our listeners get 20% off your entire order when you use code CHGO at checkout. That's 20% off your order at cutsclothing.com with promo code CHGO. Please support us and please support our show and tell them we sent you. Experience the perfect blend of style and comfort with Cuts Clothing. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Mint Mobile. Maybe you've seen their commercials with our guy Ryan Reynolds, but after years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by overpriced wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when we heard that for a limited time, all Mint Mobile wireless plans are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, we thought, what's the catch? Maybe I have to unhook a fish, right? And then I got to throw it back. Well, what's the point of that, too? I'm catching a fish, and then they have to throw it back?
I mean, I don't understand it, but I'm not a fisherman, so it's for the sport of it, apparently.
There's a contract you have to sign to fish? I mean, this doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make any sense that you have to sign all this stuff to just get wireless service, to just make a phone call and a text. But after talking to Mint Mobile, there isn't a catch. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they sell wireless service online. They don't have retail stores or salespeople. Instead, they deliver premium phone plans directly to you. I don't notice the difference in Mint Mobile service compared to my old provider.
Yeah.
Just switched out the SIM card and boom, phone calls.
Yeah.
Boom, texting. Boom, internet service.
Texting.
Boom, 5G. There you go. So to get a new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/White Sox. That's mintmobile.com/White Sox. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/White Sox. A $45 upfront payment required. It's equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on a first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabits on unlimited plan. Additional tax, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Sean, do you know what?
The future so bright, you got to wear shades.
That's what I was going to say. To paraphrase the 80s group from Wisconsin, Sean.
They were Wisconsinites?
Timbuk 3. The future is bright, so I got to wear shades when watching your favorite player, Andrew Benintendi, who hit his 5th home run of the year, Sean.
Halfway there.
And you're like taking all my lines. To paraphrase the great Bon Jovi. Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. I bet Sean that he would hit 10 home runs this year, Andrew Benintendi. He's at 5 right now. So that future is so bright for him because it's brought to you by Shady Rays. Head on over to ShadyRays.com and use the code CHGO at checkout for 35% off of your polarized sunglasses.
You know, I
need to sing that one.
The sunglasses?
The sunglasses part, but
is that a reference to anything, or is it just coming from your soul?
It's coming from my soul.
There you go.
I'm getting good grades. The future's so bright. I gotta wear shades.
I know John Buck played in Major League Baseball, but I didn't know Timbuk 3 played in baseball.
They did not.
Okay.
They're a husband-wife combo. Well, now former husband and wife combo from Wisconsin. Man. I did way too much research on the group Timbuk 3.
You really did. I mean,
Yeah.
all I had to do was watch VH1 top one-hit wonders of the 80s, and I would have found that out at, what, 87, number 87? Someone fact check. Sarah, do you have time? Can you fact check the top 100 list of VH1 one-hit wonders and see where
of the 80s?
Timbuk 2's Future So Bright, Timbuk 3, where are they placed on the one-hit wonders? Thank you very much. All right. Andrew Benintendi, I still don't think he's getting to 10. I got to say, though, I'm surprised that we're at June 19th.
Yeah.
He's got 5.
Yeah, we're not even
You're feeling good.
We're not even halfway there in the season, and he's missed significant time, and he's already at 5.
151 games last year. He had, 5 homers, and now at 55 games or 56 games, he's at 5 homers. So, I mean, he's a completely different player. Why is everyone so mad? I mean, he's got 5 homers.
I don't know.
He matched the season total.
I'm trying to look and see if we're Timbuk 3.
I don't know what I'm looking for.
Timbuk 3.
Yeah,
I just have a big list
BUK
yeah,
3.
Hit Command F.
Oh, yeah.
TIM. I don't know if they BUK
3.
There you go.
Oh,
Number 62.
62.
Okay.
Boom.
I didn't give him enough credit.
Damn right.
Yeah. There you go. Right by Rat.
Round and round.
Things are going great.
Stephen Piercy playing at the Hard Rock Casino in Hammond, Indiana. Rat. Come see Rat.
Steve Pierce's Rat. It's like, who else's Rat would there be?
And it's Rat with 2 T's. Don't just type in Rat. Okay. But yeah, I mean, hey, maybe Benny's back. Maybe he's a slow starter. Year 1's pretty bad. Year 2, he hits 10 homers. And then by year 3, he's got, 25 bombs?
I mean, from your mouth to Benintendi's bat, which pulled the ball. I mean, he almost hit a home run in the first at bat he went against Hunter Brown. He was the only one seeing Hunter Brown right, but he pulled it a little bit too much on I think it was a curveball or a changeup, and then he saw that high fastball. He's like, Hunter Brown, come on now. Does he know who I am? I'm Andrew M.F. Benintendi. And he crushed that ball for his 5th home run. He's still terrible, but if he gets me this hundo, he'll be my favorite player.
I can't believe I might lose $100 because he hits 10 homers. It'll be worth it. I mean, it'd be horrible for the brand, my brand, but also it'd be hilarious if he hits like 196 and still hits 10 homers. Like has a worse slugging percentage than last year, has a worse average, but still hits 10 homers. Like he has 25 hits and 10 of them are homers. That'd be the life for me. All right, I got some more nerdy crochet graphs. So I think this one's titled BIP. Do you have the BIP one, Sarah? Can we flash? Oh, there it is. Garrett Crochet BIP. So these are all the balls in play for Garrett Crochet. And again, it's just mainly 4-seam fastballs and cutters that find the middle of the zone. Yeah. There was a at bat the second at bat from Chas McCormick, he saw 4 pitches. All of them were outside of the zone, but he struck out on 3 pitches. And they're all just close, right? So it's kind of like where those outlier reds are.
Yeah.
Like they're close, but outside of the zone. As the NBC Sports Chicago zoomed in on Chas McCormick's face, he's shaking his head going like, what the hell was that? Like, Crochet is just so difficult because of how long and how much extension he gets and how fast the velocity is. I really do hope he did change his mechanics to have a more fluid delivery, and that Fred's concerns of him reaching 90 innings, maybe just we don't have to worry about it. You know, I mean, Walter Johnson and all these guys from 1912 just rolled out of bed every other day and threw 9 innings. And, you know, Walter Johnson was striking out 16 when that wasn't cool. So, like, you know, maybe Garrett Crochet's a young, healthy 24-year-old, soon to be 25-year-old who's 6'6", 245 and, you know, just has it. Yeah. I would love, for the White Sox sake, for just him to have no problems. All the problems were when he was 20, but he's fine now.
I mean, he's defying logic. He's defying what people have seen a reliever turned starter to be. And maybe when I think it was Vinny read it off and said that he's not caring about pitch limits. He doesn't care about innings limits. And I like, come on, man. You barely pitched in the major leagues. And you're not worried about that? Maybe he's just that dude. Maybe he knows his body, and he's like, I won't break down. I've trained for this. My body's ready for this. And so he's talking himself and his body into pitching way past the performance that he should be having as a person that hasn't pitched nearly as much as he's pitched this year, and he's at the top of the American League strikeout board. Like, think about that. Like, this is his first year starting. And he's like, all right, I'm the best left-handed starter in the game, and maybe eventually be the best starter in the game when I just start doing it. That's preposterous.
He thought he could do it, and he said, hey, let me do this. And they said, all right, yeah, you go out and do it. And here he is.
He is doing it. And like
doing it.
Even when Vinny and the Simple Media talked to him yesterday, I think Chris Getz was still shocked that Garrett Crochet is doing what he's doing right now.
Absolutely. Justin's saying, why are we looking to trade Crochet? He's a piece we can build around. There's only 2 more years of control left. And, hey, we agree with you, Justin. We say extend the man. We'd love to watch him as White Sox fans. But, again, we're not the people that control the millions and millions of dollars, and we are not the people that, and end up making those decisions.
What I've slept on and thought about what Chris was saying, I think he knows. I think he knows that they're not going to be close in the next 3 to 4 years. And so he's like, I know my owner's not going to pay him, and we have no desire, I don't know why, to extend him. So whatever deal we can get, and maybe he's already heard something from other teams that has been very encouraging to as far as his return that he would want for Garrett Crochet. So that's what I'm thinking, because you're right, Justin, and Sean has brought it up. There would be no reason to trade a 24-year-old who's at the top of his league doing what he's doing and no injury concerns. I know he has injury concerns, but he hasn't shown you that he is injured or slowing down at all. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, but I think that Chris, in his heart of hearts, knows that he and the White Sox will not be able to build what they need to build in the time that Garrett Crochet's contract gives him the time to do it. So let's get it at the peak of his powers and while he's still healthy. And I think that Chris still thinking he could get hurt. Garrett Crochet's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not getting hurt. How about that?
Boom. There you go. Shove your innings limit somewhere where the sun don't shine.
And I guarantee
at 92
people,
degrees.
Other GMs are like, yeah, he's done this, but when's the other shoe going to drop? And Garrett Crochet's like, never. How about that? Trade the White Sox some top prospects so we can get this shit going quicker than it usually could be.
I heard the guest chime of Vinnie Duber, so we will take a break, go to Vinnie. I do have a Getz quote on a Crochet extension, so we will hear what Chris Getz had to say about a possible Garrett Crochet extension. We'll ask Vinnie Duber about a possible Crochet extension, but mainly we'll talk first to Vinnie Duber about what Garrett Crochet had to talk about tonight. But Herb, why don't you let the people know about Leinenkugel?
When the weather gets warm, just any beer won't do. you got to try something light, refreshing, and flavorful. Leinenkugel has flavor for every summer moment that you're going to be enjoying. It's not even summer technically yet until 2 days from now. It's amazing, and it's still 95 degrees.
And the 21st, we're going to have a strawberry full moon. They showed a little bit of it on the broadcast tonight. John said it was a strawberry moon tonight. I don't know if it's technically started tonight, but the 21st, you'll be able to take in all of the strawberry moon's full vastness.
And you know what? Summer Shandy is the perfect companion for great outdoors, the great American pastime at Guaranteed Rate Field in the Liney's Lounge, or a great night with friends when you're enjoying the strawberry moon a couple days from now. Whenever I go to the ballpark, you know I got to get myself a Summer Shandy because it's summer. Hell, it's in the damn name. So why wouldn't you get a Summer Shandy? And if you want a beer similar and you're already sold on the Summer Shandy, they have so many good flavors for you. You could try the Summer Shandy, which has natural lemonade flavor. Or you could try the Lakeside Cherry with real cherry juice. Or Grapefruit Shandy with natural white
Grapefruit.
See how that works?
Amazing.
And it has Honey Lemon Light with 99 calories and a sweet finish. Do you know what Honey Lemon Light has in it?
Honey.
And lemon, too. They're made by real Wisconsin bees, too. Plus, classic crowd-pleasing Liney's Light or Liney's Original. Flavor every summer moment with Leinenkugels, the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to liney.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO. Or pick up Leinenkugels pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Leinenkugels, flavor the moment. Celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Fall.
Yes, and it's grilling season, so go get your pork. People who are active need more protein than the average American, and in fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the Dietitians of Canada, and the American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes depending on training. 1 3-ounce serving of pork provides 23 grams of high-quality protein that can help active individuals build and preserve muscle. I love enjoying some pork when I wake up in the morning. 2 pieces of bacon.
Delicious.
Beats that, folks. I mean, come on. It's an easy way to get protein.
Do you like your bacon, like, crispy or a little floppy?
No, I like it raw. I eat it straight out of the package. Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
I mean, there's people who like bacon, like, I call it undercooked. Anything, as my friend used to say, anything that you can't drop on the ground and it automatically breaks, put that in the oven a little bit longer.
I hear you. I'm not going to be too picky.
I got you.
Because bacon typically just tastes
Delicious.
pretty good,
Yeah.
even if it's undercooked. But anyways, elevate your protein game with lean pork, a powerhouse of natural goodness. I was about to read the thing that said our friend Grilling with Dad will be here in the offices to show how it's done, cooking up some great recipes on June 19th with IL Pork. Oh,
He did it already.
he did it already.
Today.
Oh, it was at 1 p.m.
Yeah, we
not
missed
at
it.
6 p.m. when
We
White
missed the
Sox were
food,
on.
yeah. But everybody else in CHGO Chicago, or CHGO Chicago, CHGO Sports, enjoyed some delicious pork today.
Oh, there's a lot of great content at CHGO_sports.
There is.
This smiling man with holding a bunch of grilled meat, and of course,
I mean, we should have
weren't here.
known.
I mean, we were invited.
People grilling outside pork, a professional guy like that, there would be no leftovers. I hoped there would be leftovers when I came here. That's why I didn't eat. I was like, son of a bitch, when there wasn't. I was like, of course. These some bitches, these hungry dudes, and pork, mercy.
They savored the flavor, they savored the gains, and they celebrated any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. From sausage and breakfast for your breakfast to pulled pork or juicy chops hot off the grill, it's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product, paid for by Illinois pork producers. Generations of commitment. Let's head out to Guaranteed Rate Field and talk to CHGO White Sox beat writer Vinnie Duber. Hi, Vinnie.
Howdy, fellas.
How's it going?
It's going swell. How are you?
Fine. It's another day. Let's talk about Garrett Crochet. I don't know if Garrett would have been too happy with his performance. Again, it seemed like a fine day, a quality start from our views and from our eyes, but it has to be probably a grading performance from Garrett's perspective because there were so many hits that just felt, if there was just a defender 2 inches over, maybe that would have been an out. So how did Garrett feel after the start tonight?
Yeah, he didn't seem super pleased. He was not visibly angry, but he did make mention of, oh, maybe I could have done this, maybe I could have done that kind of thing. But I think the assessment from everybody that wasn't Garrett Crochet was exactly what you just said, which was, hey, that was fine. There were the hits that you gave up weren't terribly hard, and you put the team in a position to win the ball game, which is what he did. He only gave up 3 runs in 6 innings, even though he gave up a whole bunch of hits. So Pedro Grifol, I think, put it best after the game when he said, we've gotten kind of spoiled where this seems like, this atypical bad thing, and it's just 6 good innings of 3 run balls. So I think the assessment is pretty well shared throughout the locker room, even if number 45 himself was not particularly overjoyed.
Anybody talk about, it seemed like, I think 7 of the 9 hits were either hit on the first pitch or the second pitch. Was it anything talked about by either Pedro or Garrett about how Houston kind of had a game plan? It looked like that to me in the 6 innings that he pitched. And still, like you said, 3 runs in 6 innings, pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think it's something we heard last night, too, in regards to the really good performance from Jonathan Cannon. I think this is just what this Astros team is. And, when you throw a ton of strikes like Garrett Crochet throws, you swing the bat aggressively and you're going to hit some of them. They didn't hit too many for hits last night, but they did tonight. But again, a lot of them were, not the hardest hit ball or, right under Lenin Sosa's glove or something like that. So I think, I don't think anybody should be upset with the performance that Garrett Crochet had tonight. It just wasn't that typically, sensational outing that we've gotten used to seeing from him on a regular basis. So, it almost takes something like this to, again, remind you of how good he's been, right? And it's like, oh, here's a start that any other pitcher makes it, and you're like, oh, that was good, that was fine, right? And when Garrett Crochet makes it, you're like, why isn't he Cy Young caliber right now? And I think it's a nice little reminder that he has been really one of the best pitchers in baseball this year.
And what we've seen in the past 2 starts is a reliance on his four-seam fastball and his cutter. Did he talk about maybe struggling with any of his breaking ball pitches? We didn't see many of his sliders. We didn't see many of his changeups. Or did he talk about just how that cutter's feeling? Because it looks really, really good. I think he got 11 whiffs on 29 swings. So did he talk about any of these certain pitches and how they're working for him tonight?
I think the game plan was to go fastball cutter heavy and stay away from the other 2 just because of what the scouting report was for what this Astros lineup was going to give him. And he started mixing them in a little bit towards the end. And I think he even said at some point, I wish I would have maybe done it a little earlier and the results would have been a little better. But he also said that he wasn't going to deviate from his game plan. So I think that they were doing that on purpose. And, even if in hindsight, perhaps doing something different would have been a tad more effective, they're pretty committed to what they go into the game thinking here, and they think it's going to work. And it did kind of, just not in the way that we're used to seeing from Crochet. I mean, he had 8 strikeouts in 6 innings. I think it's, and still, even with giving up a minimal amount of runs, it's the most runs he's given up since a start in late April. It's a season high in hits. I mean, you could argue, there was 1 or 2 in April there that weren't great, but I mean, you could argue in terms of some of the numbers, this was one of, if not the worst start of the year for him, and it was 3 runs in 6 innings. So again, I think it just kind of goes to show you how good he has been, that this is something we're talking about in a negative light this evening.
Another positive I want to point out that's not Garrett Crochet, it's Corey Lee. Like, every successive game, I come away more impressed by the rookie catcher. 2 for 4 hitting today, solid hits, and then where he's at first base, reads the hit off of Tommy Pham's bat and immediately goes from first to third without a question, without a hesitation at all. Like, just speak up to about how last year went for Corey Lee, and then the just total transformation to a guy that I think in the future you got to think about either a starter or a solid major league backup, because he also commands the pitching staff and throws out batters and runners with the greatest of ease.
Yeah, I think the thing they're most impressed about is what he's been able to do behind the plate as a catcher. And, not that they weren't impressed with that last year. Obviously, there's a stark contrast between the failings he had offensively at the end of last season and what he's been able to do at the plate this year. But behind the plate is really what matters the most to big league teams when you're talking about a catcher. I don't want to say that the offense is just gravy, right? I mean, you should be expected to be a contributing part of the lineup, and I think that's what does have people so frustrated, for example, about Martin Maldonado this year. But at the same time, you've got a Major League Baseball team that is willing to keep him on the roster and keep giving him playing time in Maldonado because of what they value from a catcher, which is what he does behind the plate. Corey Lee has spent the year learning from Maldonado, and I think it's really kind of showing the progress he's making as a catcher from having this environment of not just having a very accomplished catcher on the roster with him, but the work he's doing with a major league coaching staff over the course of a full year with a major league coaching staff, which is what he's getting right now. I mean, we're 3 months into the season here. You only saw 1 month of him last year. Remember, Corey Lee also was in Houston when Martin Maldonado was there. So, I mean, this is not his first exposure to a guy who has a great reputation as a game planner, a great reputation as someone who works with the pitching staff. And I think, I've even heard, his teammates talk about how it has been very beneficial for Corey Lee to have Maldonado here. So I think you're seeing gains everywhere, and it's very easy for fans to see, the offensive ones because that's what jumps out when you're watching the game on TV. But, what's going on behind the scenes is far more impactful to what Corey Lee is going to be, and I think they're very pleased with how he has developed as a catcher, more than just, a hitter and a, in this specific case, maybe a base thrower, the statistical stuff, if that makes sense.
For sure. Stats, baby. I just saw your tweet about asking Garrett Crochet on trade conversations. What was that conversation like? It seems like Garrett didn't have much on what Chris Getz had to offer about being a part of trade conversations.
So yesterday, just generally speaking, Chris Getz mentioned that he either has or is or will pull players aside to kind of let them know what's real and what isn't when it comes to trade rumors, because he knows that they're seeing it. He knows that their families are seeing it and texting them about it and stuff like that. So he wants to be as upfront with these guys as he possibly can. Again, that was speaking generally to just kind of the approach that he's going to take, not to a specific player. Garrett Crochet was asked after the game today about that and kind of been, kind of set up in the idea of, how helpful has that been for you? Has that been a good thing that Chris is doing? And Garrett just said he hasn't had any of those conversations. He didn't say, that he has had them yet or that he won't have them in the future. He just says, haven't had them. And so I think that just kind of maybe speaks to the fact that maybe there is no update that needs to be provided, or perhaps we're not necessarily getting the full picture there, but it just seems that that hasn't occurred to this point, even though we are hearing Garrett Crochet's name being mentioned. It hasn't been mentioned in terms of a specific, and so I think if you want to hear the what's real, what isn't thing, maybe you get down the road and there's a tweet, the whoever Team X is interested in Garrett Crochet kind of thing, and they're talking about him with the White Sox kind of thing. If that's true, if that isn't true, maybe that's when Chris Getz steps in and has that conversation with him specifically.
And Herb, you brought up the idea of extending Crochet. Getz yesterday said more than anything, it's just helping him navigate this season, putting him in a position for future success. I know he's focused on that, and that's where the organization is as well. Ken Rosenthal today on the Just Baseball show mentioned that his expectation is that the White Sox will cash in. When you've got Crochet, who is a bit of an unknown, still because of the innings and injury history, you move him. Robert, too, you've got him healthy, trade him. So this is obviously going to be what we're following for the next 6 weeks. But is there any way you lean? Do you feel like the White Sox would be really fumbling the bag here if they just let Crochet walk, even though they would be getting prospects in return?
I'm always of the mind that if you have a young, controllable pitcher and a young, controllable future superstar, if he's not already, you keep him. So those are building blocks. Like, I know that you're trying to get building blocks, but you have 2 already on the roster, and you have the cost certainty for both of them. So I'm always of that mind. But as I was saying earlier with Chris Getz, maybe he sees and knows much more than I do about his own team and the staff that he has and the money available and all this extra stuff that I'm not thinking of. And so if he decides to pull the trigger on Garrett Crochet and or Luis Robert Jr., I'm sure by seeing the return, he's saying, without saying, we cannot rebuild this team with those two players, even with the extended money and time they have left in their contract. The better move is for us to move forward and have a fresh start with the boatload of players we're going to get back, and that will jumpstart this rebuild quicker than having those two guys on the team, because he did say like there won't be going into free agency in the 2025 year and such. So I'm thinking that the players that he will trade away will start this rebuild quicker than keeping those two cornerstone pieces. I disagree with it, but I also understand why he would do that. And I wanted to ask you, Vinny, like you've been in these locker rooms with these players who are also human. So they have feelings, emotions, and I'm sure they don't like to hear their names in trade conversations. How do you think these players in these next 5 weeks, how, in your experience, how do they handle the actual knowledge of, hey, I'm being shopped and I might not be on this team a month from now?
I think it takes a lot of concentration. I actually talked to Eric Fetty kind of about that idea today, and this is a guy who's not been traded but changed organizations before, and he basically said to me, like, you got to go to work and do your job, and he had more to say about it, obviously, but I think that's kind of the bottom line is you have to work at blocking that out, because otherwise it's going to affect everything you do, I would imagine, and the uncertainty about where you're going to end up, not just professionally, but where your family's going to end up and that kind of stuff. So I think that it's impossible to avoid in this day and age, right? I don't think that anybody's going to throw their phone in the lake to make sure that they don't have to see any trade rumors or anything like that. But I also think that these guys have a good understanding of what they've gotten themselves into in terms of a profession, and a lot of them are pretty level-headed about the whole thing, saying, you know what, this is the business, this is the industry, and I think, Herb, maybe what you alluded to there in terms of like this bothering them, they don't want to hear their name in trade rumors kind of thing. At the same time, if your name's in trade rumors, it means you're good. It means that somebody wants you, right? And so I think what I've noticed over the years is that guys who have been around, this is nothing to them. This is just how everything works. I think guys who have only been with one organization for their entire career, it might be a little different, but also too, a lot of those guys are built to handle this as well. And a lot of those guys can turn to the guy in the locker next to them and say, hey, is this how this is supposed to be working? And they can say, yeah, this is how it works. So I think that they're definitely going to need to, work on concentrating on not having that overwhelm them. But at the same time, I don't think it's something that overwhelms too many guys, because they know that this is the business they're in and this is what they signed up for.
And you can make sure to check out Vinny's article from allchgo.com about Chris Getz's presser yesterday, where he talked for 28 minutes. Vinny recapped that for you, and then also he alluded to the piece that he is going to be publishing soon about blocking out that noise and what Eric Fetty had to say. There was also that great quote that you pulled for social media about how he would build a franchise around Garrett Crochet. I would too. I would like Chris Getz to talk to Garrett Crochet about an extension. I don't know. I mean, can you be annoying and just ask Chris Getz every day about a Garrett Crochet extension? I mean, let's do some
him yesterday. What do you want?
No, I know. I said be annoying and ask every day. Sorry, I didn't make that clear enough.
You're reading the quote there that came from my question. I asked him point blank, you guys talked about this? You guys considered this? And he decided not to answer it. So
2-sentence response. I need a probably a 5-page essay from him on why he hasn't contacted the agency.
I'll grab him by his collar and shove him up against the wall tomorrow, and won't let him go until he says, yeah,
Sean wants to know.
Thank you. Use that height to your advantage. I appreciate that. All right. Anything else from the ballpark? There was mention of Jonathan Cannon maybe getting a little bit of rest, right?
I mean, I think it's something they'd maybe like to see. I think what the idea is, in each of the last 2 starts, he's gone over 100 pitches, and while that is perhaps nothing for this individual player. I think it's probably not a habit that the White Sox would like to get into with somebody who's just getting started in the major leagues. So I think you might see some sort of adjustment being made in his next start, unless he happens to be, twirling another shutout. But Pedro was asked, would you give him an extra day? And he basically said, like, yeah, we'd consider it. But then you do the math, you look at the game notes, and he's just scheduled to pitch on regular rest. So I don't think we're going to see them reshuffle the rotation for the upcoming weekend series against the Tigers. But maybe you only see Jonathan Cannon go 5-75 or something like that in Detroit. We'll just have to see how it plays out. I think more so it's just something to keep an eye on. Hey, he went over 100 pitches in back-to-back starts. Maybe that's something they don't want to do regularly with a young guy.
And usually I crap on Pedro Gafal. Today I got to give him credit. Saw
PDG.
Yeah, saw Garrett Crochet having a decent game, but not a great game. With 85 pitches, he's like, you know what? You've pitched all right, with no reason to push you any farther. Maybe our offense is not ready for prime time today, so we're not going to be pushing you for that 100-pitch mark and sending you out back for the 7th. So knowing your guy, knowing he has probably a limited amount of pitches, even though Garrett Crochet doesn't think he does, and saying, hey, 85 in 6 innings, that's plenty. Good job, Pedro. Saving those bullets.
Some heavy work there, too. He got some crowded bases there. And
a couple of those pitches were, had a little bit of spice on it.
Some tough frames. All right, just a quick minor league recap. This wasn't from today, but I think over the weekend, James Fegan reported that Grant Taylor does have a right lat strain. The team doesn't consider it to be serious, but they're being cautious. He did have Tommy John in 2023. He was a player that I put in my top 10 of the top 30 current White Sox prospects. He's on the 7-day IL. Kannapolis played 2 games tonight. They won 1 game 5-0. They lost the second game 7-0. Wilbur Sanchez hit a 2-run homer in the 5th in low A. Winston lost 16-6 against Asheville. Not that good. But Ryan Galaney hit his 3rd homer at Advanced A. Birmingham won 4-3. Tyler Schweitzer recently called up. Pitched 5 innings, allowed 6 hits, 1 walk, 3 earned runs, and 8 Ks in a winning effort. Wilfred Veras hit 2 homers in the 2nd and 4th. And Edgar Caro continuing to rake. He had a double, and in his past 20 games, he's 32 for 76 with a 421 batting average, a 476 on base average, and a 658 slugging percentage. Is that good?
That's great.
Okay, all right. And then Charlotte, they won against Gwinnett 9-3. Sean Burke, 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 3 Ks. He's big and tall. That's what my notes say. So good job to Sean Burke for being big and tall. Justin mentions, is Colson Montgomery going to make his debut anytime soon? It seems like a September thing.
Yeah.
If anything, he'll get a little bit of playing time, but I don't think Colson's being rushed up here at any moment.
Yeah, I think it's when Colson says he's ready, not when Nicky Lopez is bad or Paul DeJong is traded. It's when Colson says, I'm ready.
You got a big softball there.
You do.
Yeah.
16 inches. Tell me about it, Sean.
All right, that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox post-game show. Thank you to Vinnie Duber for being at Guaranteed Rate Field
Like
and
4 people got that.
writing that article up at allchgo.com. Should be published soon about the quotes that he got from Eric Fetty and Garrett Crochet's response. Oh, we didn't push the takeover, did we?
Well, I want to remind people that if they don't want to give money to Pedro Gafal or Guaranteed Rate or anything, you can give money to us and come to our takeover and buy tickets through us and hang out with us at we're going to do a pregame meetup at Turtles Bar, and then we're going to sit and watch the White Sox.
Section 147?
Yeah.
June 24th, 7:10 p.m. Shohei Ohtani will be in town hitting a ton of bombs.
Yeah, and I would just say, like, you just saw the passing of Willie Mays, an all-time great, and you hear your grandfather, your great-grandfather, your father's like, yeah, I saw him in Candlestick or at the Polo Grounds. Don't you want to say to your grandkids, I saw Shohei Ohtani at Guaranteed Rate Field with some dude named Herb and Sean?
Right. And Vinny was there for an inning, maybe.
Yeah,
if
why
there's
wouldn't you
enough
want to
time.
say that to your
right.
grandkids?
Especially-
Why are you depriving your grandkids of that? They're going to be like, Granddad, where were you at? I was at home not watching Shohei Ohtani in person.
Yeah, and then you get to explain to your future spawn about Guaranteed Rate Field and how that was demolished for the 78, even though it was a perfectly fine stadium.
And they changed the rate field.
That is Vinnie Duber at Vinnie Duber. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ectorwall23. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and we will talk to you tomorrow, day game at 1:10 p.m. We will see you there for the recap and the finale of the 3-game set between the Astros and White Sox. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.